Welcome to SharkBites, where today's sophisticated diner finds out what's happening now in our top of the food chain restaurants. Hi, I'm Big Pete here in Nantucket, Massachusetts. Today, we'll be learning what influences and flavors are being fused to create totally modern cuisine here on Zaggett's #1 ranked island in the world for food. Now, the featured eatery in our very first episode is Chef Michael Getter's Dune restaurant. Local flavors, ultra fresh ingredients, combined with simple techniques. Those are the themes that echoes throughout Mike's menu. Let's go inside and take a look. Hey everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Michael Getter from the Dune restaurant. He's come down here with us today to share a little bit of his inspirations and his influences with us. We're gonna find out what really makes him tick and what gets all those great dishes he's got straight to the plate. Mike, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you made the time. I know it's busy. You got restaurant week this week.
Yep.
Things are really happening over there.
Yeah.
And speaking of happening, what do you have happening now that might be interesting for us? I know you've got a couple dishes lined up.
Yeah, the first dish is going to be, it's a grilled local carrot salad. They're blanched and it'll be grilled and assembled on a plate with some local honey, fresh mascarpone cheese, hazelnuts, and a carrot gastrique.
Well, you've actually chosen a halibut dish to prepare. And now that you've gotten a fresh codfish,
Yeah.
you're gonna break down for us.
Well, the Ruthie B just pulled into the dock today and had some beautiful cod. So what better thing to do than cook fish that was brought in today by a Nantucket fisherman. One of the produce purveyors from off island had some really beautiful figs available, really ripe and fresh. So we're going to be bruleeing the figs, and that's going to be served with a pistachio cream with balsamic cherry drizzle to go over the top of it. So it's really simple, really clean, something delicious. Whenever anything cooks on the grill or you brulee it or sear it, it's removing moisture, so it's intensifying the flavor.
And that's a shark thing to do. All right, well, Mike, thanks for filling us in about what's going on back at the restaurant. Now I know we're on to your favorite part of the show, Mike in action, ladies and gentlemen. Today we were gonna feature a halibut dish from Michael Getter's Dune restaurant, but when we pulled up the line, we had this beautiful codfish at the end. And I think Mike is showing us in true chef fashion that he's gonna adjust, adapt, and overcome, and present us with a wonderful cod dish this evening.
Yep.
So Mike, I think I'm gonna let you take it away. Break
right.
it down, brother.
All right, here we have, this is cod from the local Ruthie B boat. Just came into dock today. There's two sections of the fish, the top fillet and the bottom fillet. So I'll break down the fillet. The first cut goes in right about here, down to the spine. And then we'll just go along here.
Now this is an Atlantic cod. There's an Atlantic cod and a North Atlantic cod. This one was caught locally, closer to George's Bank. The fat content here in the warmer water being just a little bit lower than the North Atlantic species. Still a beautiful, white flesh, firm, delicious fish. Now we're not gonna do any cheeks today, are we?
No, not on this dish, but they're delicious.
Yes.
I love the cheeks. Phase one. And now I'm going to continue cutting it, but we'll just do the second phase.
Now the skin on the fish that Mike's taken apart, sometimes they use to make a crackling in a dish. It's a very crispy, rendered piece of the fish that adds a different texture note.
But it also has a lot of nice fat in it, so it really adds a lot of flavor to it. But for this dish, we're just going to do a regular skinless fillet.
Exactly. Some people worried for micronutrients, they might want to leave the skin on, but in this case, we're going to get all the nutrients we need out of the proteins of the meat itself.
So I'm only going to use the top nice loin portion of the fish.
Save that belly meat for another use.
Yeah, so we'll cut some nice portions out for our dinner here. So this is what we'll be searing up today.
Why don't you start us off with your famous grilled carrot salad?
Yeah, this is so local carrots. They've been lightly blanched and shocked, and we're going to cook them on the grill to get that nice charred flavor. And we'll be finishing the plate with some house-made ricotta cheese with some preserved lemon and lemon juice, and then a little salad of some shaved raw carrots, carrot tops, some hazelnuts, and some local honey. So these have been tossed in a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper. So we're just gonna grill these up, get a little charred flavor, kind of a contrast. There's three forms of the carrot. There's a vinaigrette that's made from reduced carrot juice, a little bit of sherry vinegar, the grilled carrots, and then also the raw carrots. So it's kind of like a warm, composed carrot salad. And then we add the little richness of the ricotta, house-made ricotta cheese to finish it off. First off in the salad, we're going to put down a little layer of this nice ricotta cheese that we made this morning with a little bit of lemon juice and some preserved lemon. And now we will assemble the salad.
Wow, it's already definitely got a visual aspect to it.
So we have some carrots, and then we're going to garnish that with some raw carrots, the same carrots, we just shaved them raw. Put them in a little water. Some carrot tops, some extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of salt, and some pepper. And then we're going to garnish this with this is a carrot vinaigrette. It's reduced carrot juice with some sherry vinegar. And this is some local honey and some toasted hazelnuts. And that's our carrot salad.
All right, Mike, how about
too.
the first one?
Yeah, the grilled carrot salad with ricotta, hazelnuts, and local honey. Let's give it a shot.
Nothing like the freshness of spring and summer.
It's good to mix the ricotta and the hazelnut together.
The ricotta, very functional. It helps the hazelnuts actually stick to the carrot and everything else. When you get in the plate, you get a fantastic bite. Even with the ricotta on the plate, it's wonderful the way everything comes through in the one bite. I get the hazelnut, the honey, the tops, the gastrique, the ricotta. It really is a great dish. Not overpowering. It's a wonderful starter. It really is. I'm glad you simplified your wine chart too, because it'd be hard for me to pick something to go with that.
Wanted to make it accessible. Folks that don't know much about wine, but they know that they want to have a light crisp wine with a starter. There's a category for light crisp. They don't have to search through French Chardonnays or French Sauvignon Blancs or Rieslings or anything like that. They can just select their wine based on their style and preference that they'd like to have with each course.
What are the words you would use for a wine that maybe would accompany this dish?
Well, I would select a white, maybe possibly a Gruner Veltliner from Austria, or a Riesling would be very nice.
Your classification for that in your wine list, that'd be the light and sweet?
Well, there are dry Rieslings and sweeter Rieslings.
So you might find one under each
Exactly.
listing.
Yep.
Help you choose the appropriate one for this dish.
Exactly.
That's a good way to differentiate between the two types of wines that are very similar but have.
Some are drier
Different
and some are sweeter.
You can pick a healthy wine to accompany this dish, be it sweet, dry, medium, full-bodied. And that's just another way you're going to accentuate the plate and the food here to make this a real shark bite. All right, Mike, I see you got some gnocchis, your morels, your peas. What are you going to do here?
Yeah, this is just kind of a springtime on a plate dish. These are some house-made Parmesan gnocchis, and that's going to be served with a saute of morel mushrooms, some fava beans, English peas, finished off with some roasted garlic butter, some shaved Parmesan Reggiano cheese, and some pea greens. So to get started, we are going to get our pans going. One will be for the saute of the gnocchis, another will be for the saute of the sauce. We're going to trim up some morel mushrooms here.
And that's butter we're using for this dish, right, Mike?
Well, I'm going to start off with some oil and then we'll finish it with butter. Okay, so now this is starting to smoke lightly. So we will add our morels in. Give that a little saute. Add a little bit of salt. Some blanched fava beans. Peas. So we're just going to let that sit over here right now, and then we'll get our gnocchis going. For the searing of a gnocchi, a non-stick pan seems to work very well. Okay, so now we'll add the gnocchis in. Now gnocchis can be heated up in water bath or heated up or seared in a pan. And searing them in a pan, I find, is a really nice way to do gnocchis. It caramelizes the exterior and lets the flavor of the Parmesan cheese caramelize kind of come through a little bit. So we'll just let those sear up nice and brown. To finish our gnocchi dish here, we have Saute morel mushrooms, peas, favas. And, we are going to add a little bit of butter, and a little bit of stock. So what we're kind of doing here is just making a really light pan sauce. Some pepper. Now when you're heating up this sauce, you don't want it to overheat because it will break. It's kind of an emulsification of the butter and the stock. And we're going to lightly glaze it, the gnocchis with it. I'm going to add the roasted garlic butter and just toss it until it's nice and melted. You can really kind of smell it now.
Oh, it's coming through. The caramelization of the gnocchi especially.
Some shaved Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, which is also incorporated in the gnocchis. And then some really nice little pea shoots for garnish. And there we are, Parmesan gnocchis. The gnocchi has a nice crust on the outside and then kind of like a light pillowy feeling on the inside. That's what gnocchi should be.
I can't believe how soft and delicate the inside of the gnocchi is with the crispy outside texture. It really does have that super contrast. And the light flavors with the pea, the sweetness, and the earthiness of the mushroom carrying through on the potato side. It's all together.
And you get the Parmesan cheese flavor as well.
Being a garlic lover, I appreciate the garlic in there too. And I really appreciate that it's not over the top either. I can taste it in there, it's behind it, it's almost a mystery flavor. And when you can do that with the garlic, another ode to the skill of the chef, right? You know,
it's a layer of flavor added to the dish.
the way the butter's drawn out the flavor of the peas and the morels, and just enough of that garlic to coat everything and make it work together, the saltiness of the Parmigiano, the little snap of even the pea tendrils, it's wonderful. Totally springtime. This dish is so incredibly good. I could say shark bite all night. This one, I'm gonna double up the gnocchi and make it a real shark bite. Everybody knows we properly season our food before it hits the pan. It's the only crust we're gonna use here. There's no added ingredients, no flour starch, no tapioca starch, no corn starch, rice starch, potato starch. This is pure and naked in the pan.
So once this gets to a really good smoke, hotter than you think, that's when we'll add the fish.
Michael knows how hot that pan is when he puts the fish in it. And how hot is it? It's hot enough.
It's very hot. These are large cod fillets, so now after they're seared, I'm going to throw them in the oven for a few moments and let them cook, and then I'll finish them in the pan. Now the fish has been in the oven for about 5 or 7 minutes at about 400 degrees, so it's slightly roasted. Now we're going to add some fresh thyme, and we're going to start to baste this right here with some oil that's in the pan. Give that good golden color, and then I'm going to add a little bit of butter. Now as the butter starts to caramelize in the pan, give the thyme some flavor. So now once we're done finished pan roasting the fish, we're going to let that cool off and rest. And while we're doing that, we're going to be sauteing the vegetable accompaniments that go in the dish. First, we're going to sear some blanched leeks to get a nice little golden brown color on it. Add a little bit of salt to that. I'm also going to add in some maitake mushrooms. Let that get a little bit of color. Now we're going to add in some blanched fiddlehead ferns. We'll add a little bit of butter. we have a nice saute of vegetables here. And then the last ingredient is just going to be a real light saute of some local lettuces. Just a light wilt, so it's a real springy saute with leeks, maitake mushrooms, local lettuce, and some fiddlehead ferns. Okay, so now we are ready to plate. So I'm going to put this down on here and do a little swoosh. Next we'll place our vegetables. Now we're going to add the cod. And this is a puree of sweet peas, some more of the local lettuces. We'll just kind of spoon that around on the plate. And we'll garnish it with a little bit of the sea beans. And garnish it with some chive blossoms. And a little drizzle of some extra virgin olive oil to add that layer of richness. So there's the cod dish.
Gnocchi, what a dish. Leading up to the pinnacle of our meal. Fresh, local caught codfish prepared by our chef, Mr. Michael Getter. Tell us a little more about the dish.
Well, this fish is straight off of the Ruthie B, one of Nantucket's few remaining commercial fishing vessels. So it's a pan-seared, finished with butter and thyme, and it sits on top of a saute of fiddlehead ferns, leeks, maitake mushrooms, some local lettuces, and underneath is a puree of sunchokes, and the garnish sauce is a spring pea and also some more local lettuce made into an emulsion spooned around the outside of the plate. And on top of the fish is some sea beans, very local and indigenous.
Right, sea beans, great garnish, lots of pop, little caviar-ish,
Yep,
but
nice
still
salty
fish.
flavor to it.
Definitely, what a final touch, huh?
Yep.
Let's try.
All right. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Oh, it's so tasty. You know, it really does, just like you said. That sunchoke puree, it's been able to add to the fat content of the fish somehow, and it seems to butter it up, but the pea just puts that other layer of lightness to it to bring it back down. It's all going on at the same time. I mean, it really is. It's a wonderful dish. Springy, buttery, light. And one last moment here.
All right.
A little bit of leek and some fish with a fiddlehead to top it off. Another spring dish for a shark bite. All right, Mike, so far so great. Things have been just absolutely delicious. What are you going to finish this off with?
Well, we are going to serve for our final course a brulee of mission figs with a pistachio cream. This is just regular refined sugar and a little butane.
And like you said about using different fruits earlier, this is just a technique that can go from vehicle to vehicle.
Yeah, when summer is here and the peaches are ripe, this would be a great peach dessert. And we're going to garnish this with a little bit of Bing cherry and balsamic reduction. Drizzle that around on the plate. This adds that layer of tartness to it that we talked about.
And in your reduction, you've added just a little bit of sugar to temper the tartness.
Yes, exactly.
A little bit, so it's not such a sharp.
It's not just straight balsamic, exactly. And these are some toasted ground up pistachios. And then just some local borage flowers for a little garnish. And here's our dessert for this evening. A brulee of mission figs
Here we are, the end of our road. One last stop. Mike, tell us a little bit about the figs and cream that we're going to enjoy here right now. And don't leave out the glaze.
Okay. These are some bruleed figs that are really ripe and delicious. And underneath is pistachio cream, which is a mixture of pureed pistachios with some simple syrup, some lightly whipped cream, and a little bit of yogurt to add a little bit of tartness to it. And then drizzled around the outside is a reduction of Bing cherries with some balsamic and some brown sugar to add a little bit of sweetness and acidity to the dish, and then a crunch of chopped pistachios, and then of course the crunch on the top with the bruleed figs.
Great. 2 textures, a few flavors. Sounds like the perfect ending to a wonderful meal. I really get this cream's light enough, the little bit of pistachio crunch, even that heavy oil comes through and goes right with it. And then biting into the crunch of the fig with the brulee on top. My mouth's getting a whole party going on in there, that's for sure. Wow, this is just coming together, and it's really been a treat to have you here, Mike, and to have your wonderful dishes with us.
Thank you very much.
Just in time for one last shark bite. So there you have it, Chef Michael Getter's Dune Restaurant. Fresh, local ingredients, simple techniques, all being combined to provide you the fantastic flavors you're craving. Now, make sure you come with us next time when we find ourselves another top of the food chain restaurant and get you some shark bites.